The big headline, which we will all start out with, I want to get your guys' opinions on it, is obviously DeSean Jackson cut by the Eagles for it seems like what we're getting, the main reason is alleged, quote, gang ties. I guess is what the team has hinted at. I think there's more to it than that. It might be his play on the field, and I think him and Chip Kelly aren't the best of friends. They don't get along very well. But apparently that's a big reason is his alleged gang ties. I know Richard Sherman came to his defense, as have a lot of teammates and fellow peers in the NFL. And then he was quickly signed by the Washington Redskins, where he's been welcomed with open arms by specifically RG3 and D'Angelo Hall. What are your guys' opinions on the DeSean Jackson release and signing by Washington?
I'm going to put it with I'm not going to use the credit of it. I see it now after hearing them talk about it. I'm going with post-Hernandez era. Teams are going to be a little bit hesitant, I think, for now on with their players. I was surprised. His numbers were awesome in Philadelphia. I had no idea when they started thinking about trading him why. I am on the Eagles' side. I understand where they're coming from. My guess is this was not their last-ditch effort. Well, this was their last-ditch effort.
You think there's more to the story?
I think there's more to the story that they're not letting on, but I think they talk to him and say, hey, we know you need to start cutting ties because we're nervous. Because wasn't there a couple murders associated with some of his associates? Or a couple deaths, at least. That's what I was hearing. I might have been.
I can't speak on that. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't hear about it myself, so I don't really know.
So,
I know the Eagles don't like the people he calls his friends. I know that had a lot to do with it, and that's been an issue with the two sides for a while now.
Yeah, so I guess it's them cutting ties is awesome. I've heard Jason Whitlock talking about it, and he got very adamant, and he took all 2 minutes talking about it. He goes like he was with the Eagles side because he goes like it's time to grow up, cut your ties. He was basically almost making an AI reference of saying that cut your ties and you could be better off. Need to grow up. You're making those multi-million dollars. Grow up, get away from your past. They can be your friends, but they can't be your close associates anymore.
I think that's an interesting opinion.
You could look at it kind of with possible gang ties maybe, but I'll look at it financially. I think Jackson was going to want a new contract. He's notorious, I guess, for wanting a new contract every 2 years, even when he's signed for 4 years. He got paid very handsomely by the Redskins. He got a 3-year deal, I believe, $24 million, $16 million guaranteed. So I'll look at it that way. And plus, this draft class is full with pretty good receivers. So I'm kind of looking at maybe some cheap labor for Chip Kelly, guys who might come from a more spread type offense that'll fit his system a little better. I know DeSean Jackson fit that mold perfectly. He could line up in the slot. He could line up outside the numbers. He could do anything. He had a great year last year, 80 receptions, 1,300 yards. But RG3's got to be very pleased, and I think this is a big loss for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're getting in the draft, but I think it's a for sure thing that Washington is getting a premier wide receiver.
Yeah, I think this whole gang affiliations crap is just BS. Total BS. That's nonsense. He had a career year last year, and we can say that he has people around him that is, may have gang affiliations, which I don't doubt. I don't know if you had a chance to read Richard Sherman's piece that he wrote on Monday Morning Quarterback. Him and DeSean Jackson grew up together. So they kind of, from similar neighborhoods. And Richard Sherman talked about how he has friends that are gang affiliated. Now, of course, I think anybody that's from an inner city or urban place, you got people around you that commit crimes. I mean, not even professional athletes. I'm sure some of us do. I know I got people that are friends who not the smartest on the legal side of the law. But I mean, sometimes that's what it is. I mean, are you just supposed to betray the people around you who's not doing everything right? No, you're not just supposed to leave them behind. I do understand that sometimes you do have to separate yourself. When people get a little crazy, be like, this is not productive for my life. I think the reason he got cut, it goes actually to what you were saying, Adam. The contract thing, every year he asks for a contract. And in the locker room, he's not necessarily the best guy in there from what I hear. I mean, we don't really know what goes on in the locker room. We know him and Chip Kelly didn't really get along. But that whole gang affiliation crap, I think that's stupid because you talked about AI, Ryan. AI had gang affiliations, but if you producing, then, I mean, like I said, he had his best year, 82 catches last year, over 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. I mean, and they re-signed. Who did they re-sign?
Riley Cooper.
Riley Cooper. So it's cool. So it's a problem if we have gang affiliations, which are suspected. We have no proof on that, but we have proof, a video that one of our dudes, other receivers, participated in a racist act, and we're gonna give him a contract. I don't think that's acceptable.
That's why I put in post Hernandez. Like I said, teams are going to be very skeptical from now on. And that's where I think it was. I think that's where it's come from. We could find out next week that it was completely different. But I guess you were saying locker room situation. I don't want no negativity in my locker room. I don't care how good you are. If you're going to disrupt it a little bit, and that shows. They've always had disruption. The Eagles seems like in the locker room can't get to a Super Bowl.
But the thing I don't understand is this: how is it that gang affiliation is a disruption that has to be cut? I don't understand that. We could talk. I mean, like we talked about Riley Cooper. He didn't have to be cut. He had clear disruption. These gang affiliations, there's no evidence about this at all. So I think that's just a cover up. And really, I think it has something to do with him being black, of course. Because I mean, we don't hear this about anybody else getting cut. Jim Irsay, we might talk about him today. I don't know if we're going to. He got caught. Had what, $29,000 in his car.
It was a DUI at $29,000, and he had, I think, prescription pills on him.
And prescription pills. Let that be a black dude. Guarantee you they say he's doing a drug deal. Guarantee you it's a drug deal if it's a black dude do that. But now it's a white dude, and now, he needs to get therapy. Nobody would be asking for therapy if this was a black guy. They wouldn't. I've seen it many times. They never do it. But so I think this gang affiliation, if he was white and the same thing, asking for contracts all the time, he would be a disruption. He might get cut. I'm not disagreeing with the cut part. I'm saying that the gang affiliations part, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Now, as far as with the Redskins, now we get the football stuff now. Me being a Cowboys fan, I'm not necessarily looking forward to having to play him and Pierre Garçon and Alfred Morris and RG3 all at one time. Because, me being a Cowboys fan, we look forward to beating up on the Redskins every year. And they really trying to mess this up for me, and I don't really appreciate that. But at the same time, it might be a little bit easier to beat the bum Eagles. So, I'll cut my losses and take my wins. The Cowboys will still be 8-8 like we are all the time.
We still don't know what we're going to get from RG3 after
That's
last
very
year.
true. That's very true. I know that he said he's not going to wear the brace next year. I like RG3. Even though, I can't stand the Redskins, I like RG3. I want him to be at his best. I want him to be healthy. But I think last year we saw when they had to play a first-place schedule, that's a lot of where some of his problems came up too. So he really has to work on his game. I think that I think DeSean, I think that's a great pickup. I don't think that that can really hurt them too much at all. That offense is real explosive now. If they suffer this year, it's really gonna be on RG3. That's really because Alfred Morris still produced last year in the defense. Because Alfred Morris still produced last year. So I think, and Pierre Garçon had a great year last year too. So it's really on RG3. They trying to help this man out, give him some weapons. So I think it's interesting to see what the Redskins do.
Yeah, I think for me, at least with the DeSean Jackson thing, the gang ties, I don't know enough about it, so I can't really comment or speculate on that. I know his, maybe not him, but his associates have been questioned in the past, and it's kind of one of those times, I guess, where it goes back to they question who he surrounds himself with. But right now, I'm going to have to take his side on it just because innocent till proven guilty, I guess. I haven't seen enough to really make an opinion on that. I think it was the right decision to cut him from the money standpoint, and I think like you said, there's a lot of good receivers coming in from the draft class. Should Marquise Lee somehow fall to the Eagles, I think that would be a great pickup for them right there. Yes. He'd be the perfect fit for them. But ultimately, DeSean Jackson, big fan of his game. I love the way he plays. He's kind of my type of wide receiver. I'm not a fan of his attitude. I've never been a fan of him just solely because of his attitude. I don't like the guys who are always complaining about a contract, always playing for the money. I lost a ton of respect for him and gained respect for Matt Forte. I think it was 2 years ago when they were both in their contract year and they had the exact opposite years. Matt Forte has the best season of his career, and this is a Packers fan saying this. Matt Forte has the best season of his career. He didn't complain, didn't whine, didn't talk about the money at all. He just went out and played, and he earned the money. Then we had DeSean Jackson, who I think he had one of his worst seasons of his career. I believe he sat out for a couple of games, if I'm not mistaken, for a nagging quote-unquote injury. And that's kind of the type of player I think he is. He's an explosive player, a playmaker, one of the best receivers in the NFL, but ultimately I don't like him because of his attitude, I feel, and plus, like all of you said, he has problems in the locker room. I've never been a fan of guys like that either. He doesn't seem like a good teammate to me. He seems a little too selfish. I don't know the guy personally. I'm not an Eagles fan, so I haven't seen him play too much, but what I have personally seen in the media and stuff like that, he's my type of player on the field. But once he gets to anything off the field, I question. I don't want to say his personality, but I think he has a bit of a selfish ego to him, which I can respect. You got to get your money, you got to do you. I understand that, but at the same time, it comes to a point where I'd like to see guys put winning before the money, and I don't see him doing that. So I understand why the Eagles cut ties, at least for that respect. Excuse me. But with the gang ties, I can't comment or speculate on that for right now. I don't know why they would say that. There doesn't seem to be any evidence pointing towards that, so it really doesn't make any sense.
Eagles players stood up for DeSean Jackson?
I think
so. Because
that's
what helped. You were talking about Riley Cooper. Mm-hmm. What helped was having Michael Vick stand up at the press conference, right. Even if it was, I can't say if it was forced or not. Right. It didn't look forced with the press conference.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard any Eagles players stand up and goes like, "Why did you let him go?"
But who's their locker room leader? Because Vick is not there anymore. He's with the Jets. So, they don't have a. I don't know if anybody who's a leader like. As far as we think of locker room, Brian Dawkins is long gone. I don't know who. Most of the guys seem kind of young. LaShawn McCoy, he's been there for a minute, but I never looked at him as a leader. Nick Foles is just now becoming, the starting quarterback.
Nick Foles has been on the bench for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's been in the locker room for a while. But I don't say leader, but
that's what I'm saying.
I'm not even seeing like a leader. I'm saying anybody. I haven't heard anybody stand up. McCoy could have.
I don't think he was very well liked in the locker room.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm going back to. Is why I'm not a fan of him. Is because he doesn't seem like he's a good teammate.
Right. But, I think a lot of people liked Riley Cooper, and that's why you saw people stand up.
I don't know enough about. I don't know enough about Riley Cooper to say that.
I just like I said, I don't have a problem with him being cut or anything like that. It's the whole thing with the gang ties. And you talk about Whitlock. And I had to look at one of my old tweets because I forgot what he said. But Whitlock, I remember him saying on PTI that he attributed rap videos to doing something with gangbanging. What does making a rap video have to do with
I didn't understand that part. That's where he went on. I think he started going off on a tangent.
And I saw that DeSean Jackson owns a record label and there are some bad people. Now, I'm not disagreeing that there's bad people around him. Of course there is. But that also has something to do with gang ties. What does owning a rap label and having a rap video where there are guns in it have to do? First of all, if anybody knows anything about rap videos, most of that crap is props anyway. That's not real guns. The cars in there they don't own, and most of that jewelry is fake. So since when are we using rap videos as real evidence in real life?
To go off your point, what was kind of interesting, I'm not a Young Money fan whatsoever, can't stand Lil Wayne, but I saw an interview with Birdman on 60 Minutes, who's the owner of the Lil Wayne label, Young Money, Cash Money, whatever it is. And he essentially kind of said, I don't really believe anything I rap about. It's just we're keeping up an image, and this is what sells. So that's why I think rap music does kind of take a hit, because I guarantee you a lot of these rappers, I can't speak for all of them, but a lot of them, they don't live that lifestyle. That's just kind of what sells.
Most of them don't. Rick Ross, fraud self, correctional officer. Jay-Z ain't moving nothing. All he do is he got paintings now. He ain't moving no white. All them dudes are lying.
I thought that was an interesting thing, and that's kind of what I always think about when it comes back to the gang ties, rap music, how they kind of tie in together. I always go back to that interview, and I thought that's kind of an interesting thing to think about, because I think it is an image more than anything else. So I can't comment or speculate on the gang ties. Don't know enough. I don't think there's enough evidence to really point towards that. But if we're going to look at this from a football perspective, I do think, even though they're losing a great talent on the field, I think it was the right move for Philadelphia to release him, because I don't think that was going to work out anymore. If only because it seems like Chip Kelly and DeSean Jackson were not on the same page all year, even though DeSean was perfect for his system. But I do think that this could make the Redskins a very formidable opponent, especially for your Cowboys and everybody else in the NFC East over there, Darius.